often talking about silos, okay? And when we have different silos, what we need to do first is connect all these silos in a central or system of systems that is able to talk the different languages, the different standards, protocols that those silos are using today. And that's the first step. So how we can connect all these silos and create kind of repository place where all this information resides, and it's available for other type of users. So I think that's the first and the key topic on how to get this centralized information, so connectivity, and that's what the system platform and the systems can provide. The different type of connectivity to these different silos, so customers are able to connect despite of the hardware or the different type of equipment to any type of equipment, or even develop new drivers on top of that to connect the new equipments. Because we are working with automation equipments today, but we don't know what kind of equipments will come later. So the platform should be also capable also to develop new type of standards like Internet of Things. When we are talking about Internet of Things, these new devices, we don't use the protocols that we've been using for many years in automation. We use new type of protocols like MQTT, and that's what we can offer to our customers, the flexibility of our platform to be able to adapt and to evolve the platform according to the needs that they have today, okay, and in the future as well.
And I think too, we have to start with the idea that centralization isn't a topic of conversation within our infrastructure basis. We really, when I talk centralization in water and wastewater, for example, they would say, well, we have a centralized control room that allows us to visualize all of our operations for treatment and distribution. So depending on who you're talking to, centralization means many different things. When you're talking about infrastructure, particularly as it leads to smart cities, we have to have a strategy of where do we put a centralization repository within a city that has access to all of the siloed subsystems within that city. We certainly don't need to replicate all of the information from water and wastewater into this infrastructure platform. We need subsets of that information that enable the decision makers to address key performance metrics that would enable them to ask, okay, how well or how energy intensive is our water treatment processes today versus yesterday? And then putting that information in context with, well, how hot was it yesterday? Did it rain yesterday? How did that affect our operations? And as you start talking about centralization, from a technology perspective, it's almost easier for us to have the conversation because we understand the technologies. But to have the conversation about centralization is a whole nother game, because you're talking fundamentally, I want to tie your water systems in with your traffic. Why would we need to do that? Well, I'm sure there are business use cases for doing that, certainly. But like a force main breaking underneath a highway, for example, right? Tying in police systems and fire systems and water systems. And that's all of a sudden now that conversation about centralization becomes critical and people want to act on that.
And this also is an important change of the game, because in infrastructure we used to work with a very vertical silos, and our customers, cities, airports, trains, transportation, tends to do vertical tenders to get the solution. These vertical tenders are normally served by a vertical solution. And this is a really a change of main, because we need to change to a new situation in which we need to think in the completely picture in an horizontal way. And this is a new challenge that the cities and the infrastructure in general have.
That's right. The value of centralizing all of your data is at a very high level. You're talking about creating perhaps standards for an aging workforce or a shrinking workforce where you have to do more with less. The less manpower you have, the more you have to do, and the more you have to create consistencies and standards throughout that workforce to enable them to do the job the right way every time. Right, and then also to continuously improve those processes. So while we've been very good at managing the efficiencies and the operations and the visualization and the data within the silos, there's a bigger picture that the cities really need to understand. So the value propositions can be maintenance efficiencies or shared maintenance practices from one silo to another. As an example, it doesn't make any sense for a wastewater treatment facility to have a different maintenance system and different maintenance practices than their water treatment and distribution facilities. So we're trying to consolidate that effort. We're trying to consolidate the technology. We're trying to give them the information that they need to create those efficiencies. And that's really what it is about. Efficiencies within the silos, make those silos the best possible silos they can be. And then across the silos, the key performance indicators that they need to be able to consolidate their workforce and do more with less. And saving that budgetary, being better stewards of the taxpayer, that's really where it's at for the municipalities. That gives them an opportunity to build more parks.
In addition, I would like to say that also synchronization is really important, because between silos you have to synchronize the operations. For instance, in the Barcelona airport, nowadays we have different silos: escalators, lifts, lights, air conditioning. But if a fire arises in some part, you need to stop the air conditioning, to put the lights on 100%, to open the doors, to send the lifts to the ground floor, open the doors, and don't allow anybody to push any button, etc., etc. Those are really important features to synchronize between the different silos.
Yeah. And customers, I like this example on the airport, they cannot do if they don't have the control of their assets, the control of the silos. So first step is on our value proposition is give to their end users the control of their assets and their silos, so they feel comfortable that they can play and they are flexible with those assets. And on top of that, they can start creating all these standard operating procedures. Other cases, for example, when there is water in an airport, what happens? So I have to have the control of the water system, I have to have the control of the fire system, to all the systems, and create procedures and have all the knowledge and the skills in one place, so they have the flexibility to learn from their assets, control, and also create these procedures that can leverage for future operations and can improve the operations for the future. So it's kind of cycle. So they as soon as they have the control of these assets, okay, they can start improving operations and create all these patterns of the utilization of their infrastructure and be more efficient on the future.
Yeah, and to take it to the city level, certainly. You look at catastrophic events, hurricanes, acts of terrorism, floods. The first thing a city does when those events rack a city, they go to emergency management operations, where they get into a bunker or control room, and they want to have the information at their fingertips. Are my water treatment plants online? Are my lift stations up and running? Are my traffic systems working? Where are my police? Where are my fire? And that coordination of emergency resources is invaluable when you can take all of that data, which we can through our technology, and provide that real-time, normalized view for the emergency managers to plan their response. If you have a fire at your house and you don't know if there's water applied to a fire hydrant, you don't really want to call a fire truck out to put their hose on a fire hydrant that's got no water on it. So that is an aggregation of information that comes from different city siloed resources. And having those two together working, maybe we can energize a hydrant or just get the message to the firefighters, say, go down 2 hydrants, there's water there available, versus getting there and having to react. We want to get away from the reaction and be predictive or proactive in the response to emergencies. And that's what that normalization, that's what that centralization of data does for a city.